John D. Rockefeller Sr. Fueling the 20th Century by Dawson History. John D. Rockefeller Sr. commanded such respect that even his greatest antagonist, Ida M. Tarbell, acknowledged his strengths. She once said, "Mr. Rockefeller was no ordinary man. He had the powerful imagination to see what might be done with the oil business if it could be centered in his hands." Rockefeller revolutionized the way of doing business by creating a powerful corporate trust and a business model for large multinational companies. He applied the business model to the young oil industry, achieving unimaginable success. Rockefeller then utilized his wealth and applied the corporate trust into the world of philanthropy, creating a revolution equal to that in the business world. His Standard Oil was the stimulus behind the government's reaction, resulting in the Sherman Antitrust Act. John D. Rockefeller fueled the huge economic expansion of the 20th century. Rockefeller was born on July 8, 1839, in Richford, New York. Ever since his early years, his father constantly provided him and his brothers lessons that would ready them for a life of business. Early in Rockefeller's career, he moved into the risky business of commodity trading. In all of his endeavors, he probed for every mistake and miscalculation. And in his personal thorough ledger, he recorded every single penny that he made, spent, or gave away. Rockefeller was a very religious man as well. When one of his Baptist priests advised him to make as much money as he could, then give away as much money as he could, it became his lifelong goal. In 1859, John D. was given his chance. Colonel Edwin L. Drake had struck oil in Titusville, Pennsylvania, and people were traveling there from all over the country for instant riches. John D. Rockefeller realized that oil drilling was not a reliable way to make money. Production was very inconsistent and uncontrolled, and therefore the price of oil fluctuated constantly. He decided that refining oil was the way to go. In 1870, Rockefeller partnered with Henry Flagler and his brother, William, to start what would arguably be the most prestigious, powerful, and revolutionary company in the world, Standard Oil. In the early oil industry, prices were never dependable because of the increasing competition and overproduction. From 1865 to 1870, the profit of refiners dropped from 20 cents a gallon to less than 8 cents a gallon. John D. Rockefeller knew that without a revolution in the industry, it would never stabilize itself. Therefore, he started his master plan to gain full control of the oil industry, control competition, and to make the most efficient company in the world. During this time, there were laws prohibiting multi-state companies, which was why, in 1882, Standard Oil created a revolutionary way to centralize its holdings through the Standard Oil Trust. The trust was a powerful corporation of corporations, which created a revolutionary business model.
He created the structure for the modern oil industry. And by doing that, he ended up helping to create the structure for most modern sort of capitalist industries. Hierarchical organization, careful attention to management, careful attention to where you were spending money, how you organized production, how you organized marketing and distribution. So he was, in that sense, an innovator.
John D. Rockefeller and 9 other associates ran the 41 companies involved with this trust. Standard Oil became so powerful that at one point it controlled over 90% of all oil refining in the world. Rockefeller had successfully revolutionized the oil industry and the way America did business, from freewheeling competition to loosely knitted cartels to airtight trusts. The day of combination is here to stay. Individualism has gone, never to return, he once stated. John D. Rockefeller also revolutionized many aspects of running a business that, together with an effective corporate structure, made it the most efficient and profitable company in the world.
One of the things he did was called vertical integration. That is, he believed in trying, when you're doing oil business, to control production, or at least the elements of production from the raw material stage to the distribution stage. Also, he would try to figure out a use for everything that was in a barrel of oil, so that he got more out of a barrel of oil than anybody else.
Standard Oil had become so powerful that the government reacted. The government was beginning to lose control over the markets and wanted to create laws to control corporate trusts and monopolies. Finally, in 1890, government reform was enacted as the Sherman Antitrust Act to prohibit business that would reduce competition in the market. President William Howard Taft later identified Standard Oil as the chief reason for the law's passage. Another significant reaction to Standard Oil's monopoly came in 1901 from the managing editor of the McClure's magazine, Ida M. Tarbell. Ida was a young girl when the oil gushed out in Pennsylvania. Her father, an independent barrel maker, was economically crushed by Standard. Like most of the public, she had strong opinions on Rockefeller. A reporter once said, "Half of America seemed willing to lynch Rockefeller. The other half wanted a loan." Ida unearthed significant details and many secrets about the inner workings of Standard Oil and John D. Rockefeller. Then, in 1902, McClure's magazine ran a 19-part series on Standard Oil. This series created a huge public reaction and helped the government successfully break up Standard Oil. Finally, in 1911, the Supreme Court made a decision that reformed Standard Oil and the entire industry. They found Standard Oil guilty of violating the Sherman Antitrust Act and forced them to break up. The sheer size of Standard was so enormous that more than 36 companies were formed, including Exxon, Mobil, Amoco, Chevron, Arco, and Conoco. This significant reaction and resulting reform from Ida Tarbell's series on Standard Oil proved the power of the press, and that individuals or independents can fight large, powerful corporations. Even now in the 21st century, we see a mirrored fight in the Occupy Wall Street movement. This movement is starting another revolutionary reform through the power of new social media technology. During John D. Rockefeller's time with Standard Oil, he became one of the richest men in the world. He was the first ever billionaire, with a net worth in today's dollars equal to $663 billion, more than 10 times the fortune of Bill Gates. Rockefeller was always a very charitable man. He gave away money at an early age and increased his giving as his wealth increased. He now had such enormous wealth that finding good ways to give it away caused him great stress. In 1891, Rockefeller hired a Baptist minister, Reverend Frederick Gates, to help with his philanthropic work. Gates once told him, "Your fortune is rolling up like an avalanche. You must keep up with it. You must distribute it faster than it grows. If you do not, it will crush you, and your children, and your children's children." Under Gates, he applied his model of an efficient corporate trust through his foundation, created in 1913. John D. Rockefeller once quoted, "Let us erect a foundation, a trust, and engage directors who will make it a life work to manage, with our personal cooperation, this business of benevolence, properly and effectively." Equally as important as the benevolent trust was into which fields Rockefeller distributed his wealth. He set up permanent corporate philanthropies for the good of mankind that would give money to education, science, the arts, agriculture, religion, and even civic virtue.
The key to all that was he felt that it wasn't enough to just give the money. He really felt that you had to ensure that really important changes occurred. So he began to look not just on the surface of things, but what was causing the problem to begin with.
Rockefeller's revolutionary philanthropic model has reformed the art of giving away money in the 20th and 21st century. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation used Rockefeller's foundation as a model. Many other wealthy individuals also have followed Rockefeller's lead through an organization called the Giving Pledge, an effort to invite the wealthiest individuals in America to commit to giving the majority of their wealth to philanthropies. John D. Rockefeller was one of the most transformational figures in history. He created a revolutionary trust that reformed business and the oil industry. He then applied this model to philanthropy, revolutionizing the art of giving. His power and wealth created much reaction from the public, press, and government. Reform continues today due to Rockefeller's lasting impact. John D. Rockefeller Sr. truly was the man that fueled the 20th century.